Hello, friends. Welcome to a very muggy summer Ithaca day and morning. Good morning to those of you who are joining us on the East Coast. Welcome to Investment Immigration Conversations. I'm your host, Carolyn Lee, principal and founder of Carolyn Lee Pllc, a U.S. investment immigration law firm dedicated to helping clients build their futures with investment immigration. You got it. So you're here because you know that we're talking to Elisa Miller-Out, who is the principal of Pllc Capital, a venture capital fund with a mission. And we're going to learn all about that and hear the awesome things that are happening in that shop. We're talking together, as we have on many other occasions before, because Pllc Capital and CLP have collaborated, Elisa and I, to create an E-2 product that we're incredibly excited about, always was, and very gratified to have our model tested out, proven successfully. So we're going to talk about Pllc Capital and their activities, and we're going to talk about the E-2 visa requirements and generally about the good stuff that's been happening. By way of introduction, let me just kick it off with how Elisa and I met. You've heard this before, so I'll try to keep it fresh. It really is born out of the same spirit that we do our respective businesses. We're asking ourselves, what more can we do within our field of expertise, stretch out, and in the pursuit of excellence in what we're doing, asking ourselves, what are some of the other connections that we could be making? What is there a larger good that we can realize through our particular gifts and our expertise? And I think at the end of the day, that is really what has brought us together. I reached out to Pllc Capital and Elisa and felicitously discovered that she's based in Ithaca. So all of these confluences and synchronicities are very, very meaningful. And I'm very, very grateful. And again, we've put together an E-2 business model that we've always believed in, very, very carefully designed to fit beautifully within the parameters of E-2 law. And respecting that this was novel and innovative, we were just believed in it and hoping that we will see successes, and so pleased and gratified to see that positive feedback come back. So we invite you all to learn more about it, to ask us questions. You'll have contact information to reach out to Elisa, and of course you have ours, and we're inviting further conversation over coffee today. So with that, iced coffee today, Elisa, tell us about Pllc and your awesome portfolio companies, what they've been up to. I would love to catch up.
Wonderful. Great to catch up with you as well, Carolyn, and welcome to all the folks who are just logging on right now as well. And before I launch into my introduction, I'll definitely just thank Carolyn once again for this incredible partnership that we have forged together. And if you're looking for someone to help with immigration investment or immigration attorney work in general, you could not ask for a better partner than Carolyn Lee. She is truly an expert at the top of her field. And she is also someone who, through programs like this, continues to innovate and find ways to make an incredible impact, help investors, make a financial return, but also meet all of their immigration investment goals. So couldn't be more excited to be a partner with Carolyn Lee. So with that, I'll share just a little bit about my background, and again, welcome everyone who's joining, and happy Independence Day to folks. I think this is a great context for this call and webinar today as well, since there's so much to celebrate. So I am a serial technology entrepreneur. That was most of my background and career. I'm also a community builder, an investor, and I'm a mother. I have 2 amazing daughters and 2 dogs who are my 2 sons. The very first part of my career was spent building a global software services company serving Fortune 500 companies, universities, and startups. I spun out several software businesses during that time as well. And I prepared for a career as a VC by angel investing and mentoring several hundred early stage companies. Some other hats I wear include as an entrepreneur in residence at Cornell University here in Ithaca, where Carolyn and I are based. And I'm also an instructor with the National Science Foundation and an innovation advisor with New York State's Energy Research and Development Authority as well, where I advise on an $800 million portfolio of clean energy companies and programs. My personal track record is at just over 50 companies that I've invested in. And been involved with either as a co-founder, a VC investor, an angel investor, and I've also executed about 11 merger and acquisitions transactions across that portfolio. After a successful exit in which I sold a division of my software services firm about 5 years ago, my partners and I founded Chloe Capital, which is what I'm here to talk to you about today. So Chloe Capital is a movement-driven venture capital firm investing with a gender and diversity lens. We focus on investing in diverse women tech leaders who are solving the world's biggest problems across climate, education, and health. Our superpower is our ecosystem building work. Our accelerator programs, which we operate all across the country, help allow us to do so much more than just writing a check to these companies. We also help them with their access to resources, to networks, and to other investors, of course, so that they can raise as much capital as possible to meet their growth goals. We call our accelerator initiatives, we refer to as the Invest in Women Tour, which takes us all around the US. In terms of a few milestones and where we are currently as a fund and an organization, we have 3 major institutional investors in our fund, which is particularly impressive since it is a small first-time fund. So this is a big accomplishment. We have a multi-billion-dollar nonprofit in the Midwest that serves as our anchor investor. We have Impact Assets, an impact financial management firm that serves as another billion-dollar asset manager that invests in our fund through their donor advised fund and philanthropic programs. And we also have Bank of America, of course, a multi-trillion-dollar financial institution, as one of our lead investors in our fund as well. So we've really had to achieve kind of an institutional level of scale and of processes, despite the fact that we're still a first-time fund and still fairly new in the space. We have a team of 35 folks that serve on the Chloe Capital team. They are all across the US and work remotely. We have just about 40 portfolio companies now, and we've catalyzed about $236 million in funding for those portfolio companies through all of the co-investor relationships that we've built across the Invest in Women Tour and our accelerator programs. Couple of quick success stories from the portfolio, and I'll talk about a few opportunities to engage with us, and then I'll turn it over to Carolyn to talk a little bit about her work and how it ties into the Chloe Capital investment model. So a couple success stories from the portfolio first. We did have our first exit recently from the portfolio. This was earlier than we expected in the venture capital world. Usually you have to wait, anywhere from 5 to 7 years for some of your first exits if you're investing in early stage, seed stage startups, as we do. But we had our first one actually only 6 months after holding this company. It's a company called BasePause. It's led by an incredible woman, Anaskaya, who was based out in California at the time, has since moved to Florida and spends time in New York as well. Anaskaya is an incredible founder who had a vision for a genetic testing platform for animals and the animal health theme. And it was just acquired recently by Zoetis, the largest animal health company in the world. It was a $100 million transaction. So we are really proud of that, especially after only 6 months of holding this company. So very proud of that. And what's really best about this story of this particular investment is it really does highlight something that we like to talk about as part of our Chloe culture, which is this notion of transforming founders into funders. And it's part of that ecosystem building work we do. So we're taking founders on a journey through our programs, through our investment, through the courses we offer, through the other community opportunities we have, and putting them through that process so that then they can have these big successful exits, pay back our investors with incredible financial returns, and then also turn around and mentor the next generation and invest in the next generation of founders as well. So we're basically creating a much bigger network of folks who then can help support this entire ecosystem and raise up more diverse, incredible founders that are really transforming the world for all of us.
And to have that intention at the very get-go, like the seed of that oak tree, so like present from the outset, is really, it's incredible.
Yes, thanks, Carolyn. No, it was really important to us from day one to kind of realize that vision. And we're so excited that we're realizing it faster than we ever thought would happen with founders like Anaskaya. So she actually came back, even though she is now pregnant with her first child, already just completed this big exit, and still took time out of her schedule to come and mentor the founders in our current accelerator program in New York City, where we're mentoring 100 underrepresented founders all across New York City for our current accelerator program in partnership with the NYC Economic Development Council. And Anna came back to and had incredible insights for them and is now in a position where she can help that, in the portfolio already, and to be realizing that vision. I'll mention 2 other success stories and a few ways to engage, and then we'll move on here. So Dimensional Energy is another company we're really excited about in the portfolio right now. It's a real moonshot idea where we're literally taking carbon dioxide and sunlight and transforming it into a sustainable aviation fuel that can be used literally as jet fuel. It's a syngas that gets used in jet fuel. So incredible moonshot idea. The thought of being able to make jet fuel out of carbon dioxide and sunlight is pretty incredible. But what's amazing about this company is they're actually proving it out. We're at a point now where this came out of Cornell research. There's been years and years of research that has gone into this technology already, and multiple different government grants that funded it in the early days. And the company is now really starting to be at that venture scale readiness, where they have actually had built whole test plants in Tucson, where the technology has been proven out at a smaller scale, and where they're now scaling it up to bigger commercial tests in Vancouver, and have already got huge partnerships in place with United Airlines as well as with Boom Supersonic, where they're actually testing out this jet fuel. So really incredible company with an amazing trajectory of growth and potential right now. So we're super excited about that one.
That one is so exciting to me because I think I've expressed this to you, Elisa, especially coming out of the pandemic. One of the unexpected thoughts that I had about resuming travel was, oh my gosh, it's just like, it's so much fuel. It's just like, do we really need to pump more of that when, we can connect with these other more localized ways? And so hearing about that was so exciting to me because it's like, maybe we can have our cake and eat it too, travel and make contacts and do it in a more ecologically sound way.
Yeah, Yuri, that's exactly right. And that's exactly what we're trying to do here. And it's so true that we're now at a point where, yes, we do have these incredible remote tools like Zoom, and folks have adapted to that during the pandemic, but we're still a global society and travel isn't going to go away entirely, right? So when we talk about solving the world's biggest problems, addressing the climate impact is a critical one for all of us. And yes, this is a way to basically have our cake and eat it too, be able to travel, do it in a sustainable way. It's obviously an incredible financial opportunity for the portfolio. And that's what we're doing in this partnership as well. It's a way to have your cake and eat it too, like meet your immigration investment goals, but also meet your financial investment goals, and then also help actually solve real problems in the world and help make an impact in our communities for all of us. So I really feel like this is a win-win-win, kind of situation.
We can do it. We can do it.
We can do it, exactly. And then I'll mention one last company. There's so many that we could talk about, obviously. AntFlow is a company that's actually helping in women's health space, and they're on track with over 8 million in revenue last year, on track to do over 10 million this year. Just struck an incredible partnership with the Super Bowl, which was so fun. They were actually in all of the stadiums at the Super Bowl, which was super fun. So just, you know, the Chloe Capital portfolio is just out there in the world doing incredible things in all these different areas. And it's the best part of my job every day, that I get to wake up and support these incredible founders in their journeys and help them achieve these goals and help them solve problems for all of us as we move through the world. So really excited about that. And then just a few ways that investors engage with us and our companies, just so folks know about that too, because that's something that a lot of our immigration investors have done with us and have been really excited about. So we have, of course, I mentioned our accelerator programs, which basically, if you're not familiar with the model, similar to like a Techstars or Y Combinator, helps bring a bunch of founders of startup companies together, helps them learn from each other, learn from a group of incredible investors and mentors that we bring to the table, and network with the community and showcase what they're doing so that they can raise more capital and help meet their larger goals. We run those programs, and our investors come out to them and join in. So this is a great opportunity for our investors to connect with our community, meet the startups, meet other investors, network, incredible opportunity. And we do those all around the country. So it's a great opportunity for investors to engage. Another is community mentorship. A lot of our investors have a lot to give back to these companies and have areas of expertise where sometimes they like to mentor some of the startups. Again, all of this is optional. So a lot of folks choose to, you know, just be a little more hands-off, but these are all opportunities where some of our immigration investors really do like to get involved, where they have expertise or areas of interest. Some like to help with what we call due diligence, which is where we are actually reviewing and screening companies for potential investment. Like we've had investment immigration investors who have a background in finance, for instance, who've wanted to help out with things like finance due diligence, right? Yeah. And then the final thing I'll mention is one other fun opportunity to engage, which is our Chloe and Cocktails series. Carolyn and I are actually dreaming up ways to do this in the immigration space as well, but we do have a Chloe and Cocktails networking series that we do for our investors, and we hold those in different locations around the country as well. So that's another great chance to come out and, again, just engage with our community. Lots of opportunities to do that, both in person as well as, of course, all the usual kinds of virtual opportunities to engage.
And I love that. And it is important. It's an important element of engagement for our clients, the investment immigration clients. And it's very consistent with what Chloe is doing. It's not a hands-off engagement. It's a nurturing, it's a building of an ecosystem. It's participatory. And that idea and the ways in which you execute really work well for our clients.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel the same way. And with that, I'll just say the last thing and then turn it over to Carolyn to talk a little bit more about the immigration piece of this. So we're on what's called our Fund 1 currently. We're going to be raising that all the way through December of this year, and then we'll be strategizing around Fund 2 in close communication with Carolyn about how we can make that fund as well meet folks' immigration investment goals. But the current opportunity is open through December of this year. So with that, I'll turn it over to Carolyn, who can help talk a little bit about the immigration side as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that update. It was just wonderful. I deliberately kept myself from asking you too much so I can really revel in the news with you today. I did prepare an incredible deck, which normally I don't do, and I realized I haven't shared that. So I will pop in there and share this. And then we can pop back out. So yay, celebratory. And as Elisa mentioned, I thought just centering our engagement today around the 4th, celebrating independence and freedom, was just the perfect kickoff for this event today. So thank you for being here. And it is important to have a disclaimer, because we are mentioning that we've enjoyed some wonderful feedback. This is informational only, of course. It's not legal advice, doesn't create an attorney-client relationship, although we invite you to create one with us. And it can be deemed attorney advert, and we're copywriting this content with Chloe and Carolyn Lee Pllc. So we've just covered our wonderful successes and exciting events happening with Chloe particularly. And so I'll talk a little bit about our Chloe E-2 approach and kind of start with just the very, very basics at a very, very high level about E-2 visa requirements. Because this is the program that we've developed it's about investment, it's about immigration, and U.S. immigration has a framework. We have a framework of laws and other guidance that is a frame. It's a container in which we have built this program very, very carefully to comply with these elements that are the requirements, that are our boundaries. The visa is fascinating. It's a fascinating course. I'm more well known in the EB-5 space, where I've practiced for a couple of dozen years, almost. And two, it's much more of a new experience. And so I delved into it with a very kind of an academic viewpoint in trying to understand the law from its roots. And that just tends to be my approach generally in my practice. It is one of our most ancient laws here in the United States. Of course, we're a relatively new nation, and it is one of our oldest laws. It's this law of treaties. And the treaties, one of the oldest sets of treaties that we have are treaties of friendship and commerce. It's about connecting with our allies through business. And that is the heart of the E-2 visa. It's based on wealth creation. It's based on comity. It's based on a presence, a business presence in our country, inviting our allies to have a presence in our country for the purpose of promoting economic growth, creating wealth, commerce. So the fundamentals are that we've got to have that treaty. And so not every country qualifies for this particular visa, but we have over 80 treaties with countries around the world. So that's a fundamental. Is there a treaty here between the investor's country and the United States? And the national, it's a visa about the business and about the individual. The business has to have that nationality. So the nationality, the treaty is fundamental, and then it's about investment, and the investment has to be substantial. Now, unlike the EB-5, where we have a set statutory amount that defines the investment, in E-2, it's much more flexible. It is tied to the nature of the business, and it has to be at a level that is substantial enough to be serious in essence, to support that business here in the United States. The individual investor has to be in a position to develop and direct. They can't have a minority interest so that they're not in a position to call the shots. As investors, got to be able to call the shots. Business can't be passive. It is a business. This is a commercial undertaking. So you don't get an E-2 visa making a substantial investment into a publicly traded stock. That's passive. The E-2 business has to be one that is engaged in investment, in commerce, in business of some sort. It can be any kind of business. And finally, and again, this is at a very, very high level. We can talk in depth about each of these criteria. The E-2 visa applicant does have to have the intent to depart at the end of that assignment, if you will, at the end of that, at the end of the investment. This is a little tricky, renewable in theory indefinitely, as long as you're maintaining the investment and the business is still doing business. The E-2 visa can be renewed indefinitely. There are other visa categories where that maximum stay is capped. Like, for example, the H-1B. There are ways to extend that under the law, but some have just sort of a set cap within which we've got to work. We don't have that in E-2s. There isn't like a 5 or 6 or 7 year cap. But at the same time, this is not a green card. It is a temporary visa class. And so there has to be an intent expressed to reassure the examiner, whether it's the consular officer or USCIS, that the E-2 visa applicant has that intent to return home at the end of the E-2 visa level. Those are the requirements. And we can go more into the specifics of how we have designed Chloe Capital CLP E-2 visa opportunity to meet those boundaries scrupulously. I think we'll leave it for this occasion to say that those boundaries were indeed studied scrupulously, and it's an ongoing conversation as well, because we get feedback from the examination process at the consulates and at USCIS as well. And those are very, very valuable. And because of the relationship and collaboration that we have with Chloe, we can be responsive to those modulations, calls for modulations in our model, and respond very, very quickly. We're at the very top here. Elisa calls the shots at Chloe. And so when we need to, or when we think it's advisable to make adjustments on the outskirts here and there, we can execute on those very seen with our shared clients. And that goes to our CLP Chloe TAC team approach. And it's easy. It's not like we have to talk about it a whole lot. And I think that's how we know that we have something good here. It's, we have a shared objective. We want to support our clients, and in Chloe's case, it's investors, to be successful, to realize the ends of their investment and realize the ends of their immigration. And so we're in communication toward that shared goal. And very concretely, it's it's Zoom calls together with the client. The client, especially at the outset, will have a basket of questions that intersect. They're going to have questions about the nature of the investment, and doing their due diligence, very, very important. And then asking on the flip side, well, how does that work with what you do, Carolyn, and with our E-2 visa application? How is this going to all come together? And so in our experience, we're finding that those initial calls are very useful in that tag team. We can respond to the client's questions that are very natural and understandable and important in an organic way. And then what tends to happen is once those initial questions are answered, they kind of know where to go. They'll go to Chloe with their incredible team, by the way, with their investment related questions. And then they'll reach out to our team with their investment immigration process related questions. And then interestingly, and this is still in our tag team approach, it comes back. It circles back because we also work together to prepare our clients for that visa interview where we're consular processing. And so we're coming together again and having Zoom calls with the client so that the client feels very, very comfortable. They're refreshed in their recollection about putting it all together, what this investment has been about and how our E-2 visa requirements are met.
Yeah.
We do that as much as the client needs.
Yeah,
and
I
that's
just want to jump in on this too, because
yes,
I think that this is this is just one of the things we do the very best here. And I appreciate you shouting out all the different things we do to kind of collaborate and do this, this approach to support our clients. And I thought of a few other like really tangible, concrete things we do together that I think we do really well as a team here between Carolyn Lee and the Chloe Capital team, which is super responsive, transparent communication all the way through the process. I think both teams are really exceptional at that. It's so essential to any kind of collaboration like this. Second, I think again on the immigration side that the an incredible both educator, teacher, thought leader in the space, and does a really great job of helping people understand the specifics of what's next and what are the steps they need to take to go through this process. And then of course does a lot of the heavy lifting behind the scenes to actually make all those steps happen. Our team works tirelessly around the clock to do that. And then on the Chloe side, likewise, we really help with a lot of folks who might be newer to the venture capital space, might have made other kinds of investment, but might still need to learn about some of the ins and outs of this model. We help walk them through that. We even have an online course that helps with the basics of this type of investment that's available. And then we do some specific things to customize this process for the clients. Like Carolyn and I together have worked on things like letters of support for the clients that are very specific to their needs, things like customized engagement plans for how they're going to engage with the business in the ways that are meaningful to them and fit their skills and lifestyle and needs, but also are obviously respectful of their time and other engagements and other things that they might want to do with their time while they're here. And then helping with interview prep.
As Elisa and I talked about right before hopping on with you, we believe in what we're doing, and it makes sense to keep talking about it. Today, at some point, less sweltery, if that's a word. It might be a cold Ithaca winter day, but we'll be reaching out again and sharing good news and updates. There's one question. Okay. Yes, we are having a little bit of internet issues here and there. So hopefully enough of what of our message is getting. I think it is. Your contact information, and of course everybody will get that in writing with the copy of the recording as well, but just to catch folks who are here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll put my contact information in the chat if folks can see that as well. And you can reach us at chloecapital.com or info@chloecapital.com is a great email to use. Yeah, I think that's the info@chloecapital.com, just info@chloecapital.com is the best way to reach us. And we look forward to hearing from you. Again, we'll follow up in writing, and we can certainly address any questions you might have about this process.
And they are superb about that as well. The communication, the speed of the response is second to none. Everyone, thank you so much for kicking off Independence Day week celebrations with Chloe Capital and Carolyn Lee Pllc. And we look forward to further conversation with you. Elisa, thank you so much. Let's do lunch.
Thank you, Carolyn. Yes, looking forward to seeing you again soon. And this was so fun. And thank you so much to everyone who joined. We really hope to hear from you and look forward to engaging with you more.
Thank you so much. Be well, everyone. Bye-bye.